In 2017, President Donald J. Trump was sworn into office on January 21st to the biggest crowds ever seen. Just kidding, it was actually a really small crowd, probably the smallest crowd ever seen since the dawn of the Republic. But he lied about that.
Yeah, well, he was elected last year in November, but he didn't officially become president until 2017. And that hasn't been ideal, but, you know, I guess the country's not on fire yet, so that's a good sign.
Trump is so much in my brain right now that I have a part of my mind which thinks, what would Trump do in this situation? So I can imagine what Trump's doing in a situation. I hate that. I loathe that Trump has taken up so much of our brain spaces that I think and can speak in Trump.
First year of Trump's presidency has been an absolute roller coaster, and it's still going down. Comedically, it's been uproarious. There have been a lot of situations where you've been like, what the hell is going on?
I am the greatest person in the... No, you need to understand me, okay? So like, I have these ideas on how America should run, and I'm the smartest, so like, let me do it.
The tax bill. So we're just repeating the same thing that happened during the Bush administration, where there's tax breaks for the very rich. Then what happens is all this regulation is let go. People will start using like derivatives and all this stuff I don't even know like the words for. All of a sudden the economy will go down. People will hate Republicans. We're gonna put a really nice Democrat in again. He'll fix the whole shit. People will get pissed off at him because he's too liberal. And then the process will repeat as it has now for the 4th time in my lifetime.
But by all accounts, it's just gonna make the rich so much richer. It's gonna hurt the middle class and lower classes. So I mean, I don't think anybody's really for it, except for the Republicans who just want less government and want to pass anything to get it so that they don't look like total dipshits, which they do right now.
From my understanding, it's going to greatly hurt the people it was meant to help, so like lower income Americans and like people who would have very much so needed like insurances from like other sources. And instead, it's going to give a break to the wealthier individuals in the country, which is not ideal.
We used to criticize them for having, you know, an overweight, mentally unstable commander who always had his hands ready to kind of who always was ready for nuclear war and to criticize Western leaders. But now we have our own leader who's doing the same thing. So, you know, I feel like we fit right in with North Korea. It's pretty dark comedy seeing him and Trump getting into this dick measuring contest over, you know, who's going to destroy the other and their own country first.
I mean, it's two petulant children going after each other, you know, trading insults. I don't think anything will come of it, simply because China, who Trump seems to be so obsessed with, has openly declared that they will stand with whomever is attacked first. So, in the world of, you know, Asian geopolitical politics, it's kind of the status quo. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, dick measuring going on right now, but I don't think anything will come of it.
God, I thought he was Harvey Fierstein, so I was shocked to find out he was heterosexual. I think that Harvey Weinstein is lucky he had that job, because I don't think he would have had sex any other way. I'm not sure we should say that.
Why is Kevin Spacey so famous, besides the fact that he can pretend to be another man from time to time? Why, like, these people are kind of telling the same stories over and over and over again, and we've accepted them, we're like, oh my God, they're so fabulous, they're so wonderful, to the point where they feel like they can get away with shit like this. Look, Kevin Spacey, keep your shriveled up dick to yourself, man. Like, you know, if you can't get sex consensually, you need to relook at what you're doing in your life, man. Don't rape people. All right, don't rape people.
Mark Halpern, who wrote Game Change, I was really looking forward to the next 2 Game Change movies and a 3rd Game Change-ish book by Mark Halpern. Apparently he enjoyed pressing himself against women's legs against their will, and it was really sad to hear that. Louis C.K., you know what, I'm gonna be honest, I never really thought he was funny, and I am not surprised to hear he showed his penis to other people. Yeah, it's just like the kind of shit like basic like white guys think is funny.
It's a little weird that they feel like they need to use their power in order to do so, because from my understanding, or at least from what I know, like, isn't power, like, literature tells me power is meant to be aphrodisiac, so I don't understand why they feel like they need to do that, but also, like, guys, come on, just ask people if you wanna, like, don't be like weird about it. Like don't force people. That's just not cool.
You know what? Now men are going to become aware of how they treat people, and I think it's amazing that men are getting shocked into being made aware of how women feel around them, and hopefully, you know, women are going to be seen as equals when working with men, and it's so unfortunate that in every industry that we're learning about it is not that way, especially in Hollywood, which says it is a very liberal industry.
Logan is the best comic book film this year. It's the best comic book film. Almost was my favorite film this year. You know, when that Hurt song comes on by Johnny Cash, and you see Hugh Jackman, you know, painfully wiping off the blood off his claws, and he looks so in pain, he's shaking. You're like, Jesus, like this is gonna be a depressing comic book film. But I love Hugh Jackman. He is an international treasure, and what he's done to giving us with Logan and Wolverine in general is so precious. And I mean, it's just a story about a man who's broken. It's just a man who's, you know, been alive too long, seen too much shit, and then's given another chance to make things right. And I mean, that's such a great story.
I cried a lot because Hugh Jackman is never gonna play Wolverine again. And Mr. Patrick Stewart, even though it doesn't look like he's aged in the last 40 years, apparently, I mean, he's got to. So this might be one of the last, I mean, also a huge Star Trek fan. So this might be the end of me watching Patrick Stewart and things.
Logan is the best X-Men movie. I quote that because it's like barely an X-Men movie. It's so good.
Logan was my favorite superhero movie this year. I love X-23 Innocence Law. It's one of my favorite comics ever, and definitely not sexist.
The best comic book movie of the year was Thor Ragnarok. I'm sorry. I don't mean to ruin that against the Logan lovers. Logan's fantastic, man. You know, you waited all this time, Hugh Jackman, to be, you know, getting his spotlight. But Logan is more, it's the best Western to come out maybe within the last 10 years, I think. I think Logan's a better Western than it is a comic book movie. Because it really takes what Hugh Jackman's lore was from all the other films and builds on that to make its own thing. It's not really based off one comic book. I mean, Old Man Logan, yes, but there's so much to deviate from in that book. So I would say it's the best Wolverine movie. It's the best Western that's come out in a while. But the best comic book movie, for sure, is Thor Ragnarok. You finally have Chris Hemsworth being able to play Thor in the capacity that he should be. The first 2 movies sucked, so there's no expectation for this film other than the fact that you know it's going to be better than whatever DCEU puts out, which, sorry.
I liked it. Thor Ragnarok was good. Here's my thing. I think it was a good movie, but I don't think it's a good Thor movie.
Justice League is the worst superhero movie that came out this year. Unless Suicide Squad came out, but I think that was 2016, so whatever. It's like taking a bunch of puzzle pieces and hoping that like forms like a coherent like image. their intentions, whatever they were good, and I saw that in some of the like characters and like the little moments they did have, but overall it was too rushed.
I loved almost all the characters in Justice League. I thought, especially Superman. I mean, it was so great seeing, you know, Henry Cavill come back in the Superman that we know from the comics, you know, kind of being inspirational, a little cheesy. I mean, you know what, Superman, we love you for being cheesy old grandpa who's like back in 1940s and kind of old-fashioned but inspirational like that. You know, that was kind of the Superman I was missing. So it was great to see that.
What I love about Wonder Woman this year is that it opened, they had special screenings of Wonder Woman that were female only, women only. What was so amazing about that is that the film I thought was very empowering, and I thought it was the perfect film to have all female showings.
I really liked it, but I kind of knew going in I would really like it. I like how it's a female director, so it's fun seeing like very little differences as to how a woman would direct a film versus how a man normally does. It was like the first real like female superhero movie to come out in a long time before including Catwoman on that list.
Bendis leaving Marvel for DC was weird because Bendis has been there since like freaking like day one. Bendis wrote Miles Morales, one of my top 3 like favorite characters, comic characters of all time right now and everything.
I honestly, like, I know that was a big deal for a lot of people because they really didn't like Bendis, but I was like, oh, okay, bye. Like, I don't really follow DC, so to me it was just sort of like, don't hit your head on the way out.
You know, it's time for him to go cause some damage at DC. Brian Bendis, you have created some of my favorite comics. You have created some of my least favorite comics. The biggest thing that's happening in 2017, Jean Grey returning to the X-Men, the OG Jean Grey. We're super excited. She's back to life. She's gonna be super sad when she comes back. There's no Cyclops. Emma Frost is still a bitch.
Let Jean Grey die already. Stop bringing her back. Either let her live and never die, or just leave her alone, man. You can't keep just bringing somebody back from the dead. Obviously, she don't want to be alive, all right? Let her rest. Let people move on. And Cyclops, stop being weird all the goddamn time.
I love Dark Knight's Metal by Scott Snyder. But my favorite Batman run would have to be Scott Snyder's Ends of the Earth from All-Star Batman, because you get to see a lot more of more focus on the villains. So there was Sub-Zero, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and the Mad Hatter.
Always a Spider-Man head, so I've been reading Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man and Miles Morales, Amazing Spider-Man. My favorite comic this year, though, would have to be Secret Warriors by Matthew Rosenberg, because he brought together all these like Inhuman characters and everything. Runaways is the tale of these teens. They found their parents are a bunch of supervillain assholes, part of a whole giant cult and everything. And they try to stop them from, you know, doing their whole evil thing and summoning a whole giant being. And it's really a tale of people coming together and, you know, they learn about themselves and they learn about the people around them, and it makes them better for who they are.
Brian K. Vaughan, his run on Runaways was really good. Again, yeah, cool teens, problems, and then their families being evil.
Runaways was a comic based on Brian K. Vaughan, and we were super lucky to be able to speak with some actors from there at New York Comic Con, and we just had a great interview with Angel Parker, who plays the mysterious Catherine Wilder, who is a very evil lawyer, as if there's any other kind.
In 2017, the best anything has been Riverdale. If you're not watching Riverdale, you should be. It's your favorite show's favorite show. It's your favorite guilty pleasure's guilty pleasure. And actually, it's not even a guilty pleasure. It's a tour de force of teenage emotion, all right? Get it right. Oh, in 2017, we got The Gifted. It's a fantastically nice show. It's great. It was a delight. I saw a few episodes of it. I thought the actors were really cool. I wonder if that budget's gonna be able to sustain itself with all those cool powers, because if that shit doesn't do well, then you're gonna see a lot of mutants just pushing things with their minds. Everybody's gonna have like almost kind of the same power. You're not gonna see a Khaleesi-sized dragon on that show, that's for sure.
Hilarious, because I like people who have like moral complexity, and she very much so has that. So it's interesting to watch her do her thing.
Legion is a fantastic film made by Noah Hawley, who also wrote Fargo, which is also one of the best shows ever on television.
I thought it looked very creative. I love Noah Hawley from Fargo. I thought that was genius, but I wasn't sure if he could, this was the first Fox X-Men show, and I was like, could he nail it? And guess what? He absolutely nailed it. That show is brilliant all the way through. It's so psychologically intriguing. You don't know what's going on, but the characters are so rich, and it's a superhero show without being a show about superheroes, if that makes any sense. Like, there's no superheroing in it.
Oh, in 2017, The Defenders came out, and The Defenders was lit because Luke Cage told Iron Fist he had white privilege.
I had this thing with Marvel Netflix shows where I feel like they have too many episodes. They have like the 13 episode order. And with Defenders, I wanted more from that because they gave like 8 episodes.
People criticize the CW. I love it. I think it's so much fun. I think I've really attached to the characters. I feel a deep connection with Supergirl and Flash and such, and I think they've set up a really great universe on the CW with really rich characters who, I think it's the best DC universe on screen.
Oh, in 2017, we got The Punisher, which I'm still having some violent nightmares about. It's pretty fantastic. John Barenthal is a psychopath of the best kind. And, is a good-looking guy, so I have been having a very serious fear-induced man crush on him. I don't know if I like him or if I'm scared of him, and I want him to like me. But shout-outs to The Punisher, 10 out of 10. In 2017, the worst television show for comic books was Marvel's The Inhumans. Fans, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you did this to yourself, Marvel? You were giving us heavy hitters, man. You gave us great movies this year alone. And you take this box called The Inhumans, which you're only trying to pull off because you don't have the X-Men, and you're not faking it, you know what I mean? Like, you're not lying to anybody. This isn't like, this is like when somebody introduces you as somebody like, oh, this is like my friend, but they're dating them. Like, you're not lying about this to my face. Like, I know why you want the Inhumans to be good, and it's trash. Who is walking around with their heads shoved so far up their that you decided that you were gonna not only commit this crap to film, but you were gonna also put the first 2 episodes in IMAX, like anybody gives a You know what I mean? More people are gonna attend a Harvey Weinstein funeral than they will Marvel's The Inhumans opening weekend.
I went through a Game of Thrones wormhole this year in which I read all about the history of Westeros. I can explain it all to you in like 1 minute, and if this was that video, I would do the whole thing. Oh my God, the best thing about the season, episode 4, the loot train, right? So episode 4, okay. So all of a sudden, like, okay, Olenna, dead from Jaime, what the is his name? Jaime Lannister, right? They get all this money from the Reach, they get all the food and like the money they need, and then like all of a sudden you hear the Dothraki people, and they're like, oh, and then like they're coming down this like hill thing, and then all the Lannister people who just got like into a fight were like scared shitless, and then Bronn is like, Jaime Lannister, you have to go. These people are just pawns. You have to go because you are like having sex with your sister who is queen, and go. And Jaime Lannister's like, we can take them. And then you hear like, bah, bah. And then it turns out it's like the dragon, which you thought they wouldn't bring out until season 8. But guess what? It's season 7. The dragon's like, bah. And then she's like, Dracarys. And it very clearly looks like she's not flying a dragon, I'm gonna be honest with you, but whatever. Green screen. But I bought it. And then the dragon, and she's like, Dracarys, and the dragon's like, whoa, blah. And then all this fire, and everyone's like, ah! And then like the fire is so hot, it like instantly atomizes people who are like there. And they're just like all charred. And then like all the gold is melting, and all like the food is melting that they got. So then they got nothing. You killed Olenna for no reason. And it was really sad. She's a really good actor and really fun.
My favorite episode of Game of Thrones this year was definitely the last episode of the season. I really enjoyed all of the coming togetherness. Okay, the very last scene, the very last episode, where all of those losers were at the wall, wildlings, I think they're properly called, were just hanging out, thinking to themselves, oh, thankfully we're finally like safe from the White Walkers. And then the what was he called? The Night King comes rolling up on his ice dragon and just attacks, has the ice dragon breathe right on the wall. And I think it's fantastic because in my mind, the White Walkers are a metaphor for gentrification, which I'm staunchly in favor for.
I am looking forward to the New Mutants. I'm looking forward to X-Men Red. I'm looking forward to Jean Grey slaying and ruling my life again, the patron saint of ComicsVerse.
I'm super excited about the New Mutants movie that they have announced, which, I mean, like, I'm already in love with all the characters, and I've made so many of my non-comic book friends watch the trailer just because, like, if it'll get them into it, you know, why not?
In 2018, I'm looking forward to more men being prosecuted for the bullshit that they've been pulling off. I'm looking forward to better comic book movies, better comic book television, even though the quality we're getting is pretty great right now. I would appreciate it if film studios gave a about the stuff they were doing instead of just wanting it to be about the spectacle and the money, which I realize is a little difficult.
I think it's great to be part of an awesome community of people who can share stuff that I like and get to work with people that also sort of gives me freedom of what I want to do and express. Again, I work for a show for ComicsVerse, so it's good to have team building sort of experiences and get to work.
I'm so excited for 2018. 2018.
Shout outs 2018. Don't rape people and send bad people to prison.
Whoa, Batman! But yeah, it's great. ComicsVerse. ComicsVerse.